Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Devlog video about Homegrown, the new farming game that I'm making using my own engine. And this week I'm going to be implementing shops into the game. So first up today, I'm adding the concept of money into the game. I very quickly just made this coin model in Blender, which I then used to make the icon for the money UI up the top left here. And as I mentioned last week, really not worrying too much about how the UI looks at this stage, just concentrating on the functionality for now. And this UI displays the amount of money that the player has, and that amount can be increased or decreased as necessary. Just been adding prices to all the items in the game, so I've been going through all the item files, inputting the prices, and I've also just been very roughly planning out the shop UI. And I'm just going to start working my way through implementing all of these UI components. And I started with this one here, which displays an item in its price, and you can see the result of that in the game here, displaying the carrot and its 40 coin price. I've been working on the shop panel next, so all the items are displayed nicely in a grid, and then you can click on the items to display more information about them. The button doesn't work yet though. So after a bit more work, the selling to a shop is now all working. So when you open the shop, it shows the items in your inventory that you can sell at this shop, and it shows them with their prices. And then here there are going to be some more options to allow you to choose how many you want to sell. And there will be a reason why you might not want to sell them all to the shop. There are going to be other things that you can do with the vegetables, but for now, one sell all button is fine. So you click on that, and that sells all of that produce. And when I do that, you can see in the top left that I'm getting some money for selling them to the shop. I'm working on the buying from the shop now. Pretty similar, same kind of layout, just different options here. And again, I'm going to have better options for choosing how many. But this will do for now. So if I just click this, it buys 10 potato seeds. You can see they've been added to the inventory, and I've lost the correct amount of money. So it's all working except for the fact that I can just keep buying and buying, and it doesn't care that I'm going into negative money. So I'm going to fix that now. I've just sorted out the price issue, so if I buy 10 of these, you can see the buttons now get greyed out because I can't afford anymore. And in the shop, the items that aren't affordable now have their price tag in red to show you that you can't buy any of them. So I'm pretty much finished with the shops now. I've just added some tabs at the top of the screen here to access the shops. That's only temporary. What's actually going to happen is that there'll be a separate town area in the world, and there'll be lots of shops there, so you'll go there and access the shops there. But for now we've got these tabs. One thing I do want to improve is that the shops that you sell to and the shops that you buy from look very similar, well, exactly the same. So it's not instantly obvious whether you're selling or buying, so I'll try and do something there to help distinguish between the two at some point. And then another thing that I need to improve at some point is that when you're buying from the shop, even though I'm clicking on these buttons, and you can see I'm clicking on the buttons, there's not much feedback to the user to show that it's working, that you're actually buying this. Apart from the money count going down in the top left, nothing else happens. So I could give a bit more feedback to the user. Obviously I'll have sound effects at some point, that will help. And then maybe I could have something like a pop-up saying +1 potato seed every time you buy it. Also I've just added some names to the shops, which I think looks a bit nicer. And also I added names to the items as well, which meant I had to go through all of the item files and add the names to them, or actually add the ID, which then references a name in the language file so that they can be translated at some point. But yeah, I'm very happy with the shops for now, so I think I'm ready to move on and start work on the next feature. Good morning everyone, lovely sunny morning here today, and the plan for today is, if we just have a quick look in Trello, now that I've finished with the shops, I'm going to be moving on to placeable objects, which is pretty much as it sounds, objects that you're going to be able to place into your garden. And to get started with that, I need to first make a new model in Blender. So here's the new model in the game. It's meant to be a beehive, if you couldn't tell, and that's meant to be honey coming out of it. And I've also just set up a quick placement tool, which allows me to select a tile, and then the beehive gets placed in that tile. Just been making the item for the beehive, so I've just created the icon quickly here in GIMP, and then in the game, in my inventory, you can see some beehive items here. If I select them, I can now place the beehives in the world, and I can actually change the rotation as well. By pressing the middle mouse button, I can choose the rotation, but obviously it's not obvious which rotation it's going to be placed in before you place it, so I definitely need to add some sort of preview before you place it so you know which way round it's going to be. In the object placing tool, I've just been setting up this preview entity to show a preview of the object before you place it, and I can demonstrate that in the game with the beehive here. So this is the preview. I would prefer the preview to be a little bit transparent, but transparency can sometimes be a little bit fiddly to implement. You have to sort out the rendering order, so I just haven't bothered with that now, but I'll probably do that at some point in the future. But yeah, now when you rotate the object before you place it, you can see the rotation so you know how it's going to look when you place the object. Next up, I did some little polishing touches, which I probably shouldn't be doing at this stage. I smoothed out the rotation of these objects when they're being previewed so that they don't rotate instantly. To be fair, it was only like 3 lines of code, so I don't feel too bad about it. I have a whole load of these smoother classes in my code, which make these nice smooth movements very easy to implement. I use it all the time to smooth out movement. And the way they work is really simple. Instead of directly setting the new rotation value, it instead sets a target value in the smoother class, and then every frame, the smoother class moves the actual rotation value 10% towards that target. And that creates some nice smooth movement because the closer it gets towards that target value, the smaller the steps become. So time for my lunch break now. I'm going to get outside while the sun's still shining and take Rufus for a walk. This afternoon I've been adding support for objects that take up more than one tile. So in Blender I've been creating this model for a compost heap which takes up 4 tiles, and I added that into the game so you can see it in the shop here. I'm just going to buy a couple of them, and here they are in the inventory. And now if I go to place them, you can see that it takes up 4 tiles instead of 1. I can rotate it as normal, I can place it as normal, and it all works as expected. If I try and place another object, it knows that it can't be placed in any of those 4 tiles. The only thing that isn't working, as you might have noticed, is that the tile highlighter only shows the top left tile to be selected. So my next task is to fix that. Just about to stop for the evening now, after another good productive day of programming. And last up today I did manage to get those grid highlights working. So you can see them here, correctly selecting a 2x2 area when I'm placing the compost heaps. Before I finish this week, I just want to give you a quick demonstration of the game at the moment, now that the shops are up and running, because there is already some gameplay that I can show you. So when you start the game, obviously you'll have a big empty garden to work with, and you won't have anything in your inventory, you'll just have a little bit of money. So the first thing that you would do is to go to the shops and buy your basic equipment that you're going to need to set up the farm, and of course a few seeds, the first vegetables that you're going to be planting. And once you've got all your tools and your seeds, you obviously need to start digging out an area to plant your first seeds. So here I'm just going to plant my wheat seeds, and then of course over time they will grow, and once they're all grown you can harvest them. And once you've harvested your vegetables, you would then head off to town and sell your produce at the local market. and that will of course get you some more money, which you can then reinvest back into the farm, getting some more seeds. Maybe this time you can get some better seeds for some more profitable vegetables, like the potato seeds here. And then you just keep going like that, and you keep planting new vegetables, harvesting your vegetables, selling them at the shop, making more and more money, and keep expanding your farm. Obviously there's not a huge amount of variety in the game at the moment, but hopefully there will be at some point, with lots of different things to buy and different ways to improve your farm. Here you can see I'm paving all of the paths, and there's not actually any reason to have paths in your farm at the moment, but there will be at some point. I'll work on that soon. And of course there are going to be lots of different items and objects that you can add to your garden to affect it in different ways and make it more profitable. So that's where the game's at the moment. Obviously very, very simplistic right now, but it is only the second devlog video, and I'm just really happy that after just a month and a bit of development I already have some real gameplay in the game, which was definitely not the case with my previous games, so I'm very happy with that. So that's pretty much going to be it for this week. Before I finish, I just want to give a big shout out to the top Patreon supporters from last month, who were Brandon Lee Price, Alan Lantz, Yuri Kranovec, Josiah Hillman, Vladislav Dohadayev, Busfara Walter, Sergei Ankinovich, Dieter Reinert, Harry Chun, John Needham, Christoph Herpo, Adam Farkas, Simon Ganzer, Mario Martins, Gregory Horvath, Hagen Vingard, Thomas Johnson, Leandro Di Pietro, Andrew Witt, Marek Mikolajczyk, Sean McCrory, Caffeine Coda, Timothy Gibbons, Alexander Chavez, and Neil Blakey Milner. So a massive thank you to you guys, and of course to everyone else supporting me over on Patreon for making this all possible. For this week though, that is it. So thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I will see you all next time.